Okay, Vito Boudreau in there, and they're just show right, somebody's new.
Woodstock and St. Stephen with an average hole of $4.
My nerves. You are,
I'm Charles Murray
and you're the Ombudsman.
for New Brunswick, yes.
And what's that title you call it? Public?
This public consultation
No,
meeting?
your position.
I'm a legislative officer.
Yeah.
A watchdog.
So how many is there? There's private commissioner,
Yeah.
language commissioner,
Yes.
ombudsman.
Yes,
What
child
else?
and youth advocate, attorney general,
Attorney General too.
or auditor general, sorry.
Auditor, yeah, that's it.
And then there's a couple that we don't have filled. We have them filled temporarily. We have a conflict of interest commissioner.
Yeah.
We have a consumer advocate for insurance, and eventually have a lobbyist registrar or someone doing that job anyway.
Now that costs a lot of money to run.
Well, actually, New Brunswick doesn't spend more on this than other provinces do.
Yeah, every province, same thing.
Yeah, we actually spend a bit less. The difference with us is that we have these all in different offices, but the number of people in the total offices is less than a lot of other provinces. It's just that we've created separate offices to do some of these things, where in other provinces they're all done in one office or in a central office, or a lot of them are done in one office.
But do we need every private commissioner, the attorney general, the ombudsman? Do we need all that?
Well,
Or can they get together? Or
Someone has to do the work, right? The issue is whether or not you need an entirely separate office to do it. But the requirement to protect people's privacy, the assurance that there's an ombudsman to take complaints and make sure people are treated fairly,
Yeah.
the assurance that there's an auditor general to make sure government spends money properly. I mean, you have to do those tasks to protect the citizenry, but the way you deliver those, there's lots of models. If you look across the country, there's lots of models of delivering it.
like what?
Well, in some places, the ombudsman has more of those tasks. In some places, some of those tasks are not done as an officer, they're done as a sub-department of another agency or something like that. So there's lots of different models.
Now we know what my pet peeve is, or we know what I'm going to say.
Right.
Can we get rid of the language commissioner? I mean, they come around, they want people to listen to us, and they want to hear our concern, but they spend $500,000 a year on the language commissioner. I don't get it.
Here's one of the dangers that happens when you have a program and you try to change it, is that there's a group of people who will say, you're not changing the program, you're attacking the fundamental thing that the program is designed to protect. So the problem for a government, if they're to look at something like the language commissioner, is that people will accuse them of backing down on bilingualism or changing their stance on bilingualism. So that's the difficulty. It's a political problem for any government to make these changes.
You've been around for a long time.
A long time.
Now, I just talked to Victor Boudreau earlier and put the camera in his face. He's used to it by now. But he's trying to tell me the language commissioner is in the Constitution. And I go, what?
Well, I'm not a lawyer that gives him advice on that sort of thing. I mean, obviously there's a constitutional requirement in this province to protect and promote both official languages. The form that takes, I wouldn't say is prescribed by the Constitution, but look, if he has legal advice that says otherwise, fair enough.
But we hear from you once a year. Oh, now I'm sorry. You're like Charles LeBlanc. You like to be the center of attention.
Please,
the Irving,
I don't want to be.
Irving media.
I'd rather I wasn't. I'll be quite honest.
Commentary.
Yeah.
But language commissioner, you give recommendation, but it really pushing this.
Well, you should ask her about this, but
I don't want to. Oh my God.
Well, she has a slightly different role than I do. Her job is to actually promote these things, right? My job is to investigate.
Yeah.
I know people understand what I'm doing when they see me in the public, but our work is like an iceberg.
Yeah.
90% of it's underwater. 90% of the people we help, there's never a public report about that. It never comes out in the media. That's the essence of our work. These few things that we do in the media are really the exception, not the rule for us. But in her case, she's given a mandate to promote, and so that puts her out in front of the camera a lot more.
She could be in front of the camera for if she had, what was that word again? Oh yeah, relation publique, like a water tower in Miramichi to be bilingual.
Yeah.
They said yes, they'll be in Gaelic and Gaelic and English.
Oh, my ancestors would be happy with that.
Yeah. Listen, I seen you in there and we're talking, and I don't see you like this too often. You were listening. I wish I could do that. And you got emotional in there.
I was surprised. there's always a question when we do our work in terms of, does the public understand or even know that we're doing it? Because so much of our work is done behind the scenes. So when the government puts on their agenda the possibility to cut or decrease the officers, I'm surprised that a lot of people in this room, given the opportunity, have said that's one of the things they didn't want government to do. I'm pleasantly surprised. I didn't know that the public had that much support for what we do. It's encouraging to me because obviously our work with government is unpopular with government sometimes. So, we do the work and we do the best we can, but the idea that there are people in the public that get it and that support us, it did kind of move me a little bit.
Yeah, I saw that. And for the record, you do a good job.
I appreciate that.
But that language commissioner's got to go.
Well, that's really...
She is not doing a good job.
Well, that's your opinion. I don't have an opinion on it, but I'll say this.
I should have finished that interview. Thank you, and that's it,
well,
but I can't do it.
Edit it out. I'll say this.
Oh, I don't edit. That's why I'm in so much trouble.
Yeah, I'll say this. I love what I do, and I feel like it's an honor to do it. You couldn't pay me enough money to do her job. I think that's a really difficult job.
No, but you have public relations skill.
Well, that's just an accident.
Excusez-moi. No, but excusez-moi. Vous devrez faire ceci. You should be doing this. And you don't say, well, all senior bureaucrats must be bilingual. Come on.
Well, okay. So a couple things about that. I put a lot of pressure on government in a lot of off-the-record, behind-the-scenes conversations, trying to stimulate government. But I personally believe that you get more flies with honey than with
Yes.
vinegar. And that if you develop an adversarial relationship, that people basically, the defenses go up and they're not interested in what you have to say, and that's that.
Exactly.
So, but that said, I'm glad I don't have her job. That is a very difficult job.
You have public relations skill. You could do that. Anyway, I'm repeating myself. I'm sorry. Maybe, I don't know. I'm looking back. Where did she really piss me off? No, it was before this Wayne Grant thing. Mm-hmm. I think it was for, what was it? Ambulance paramedic, going to be bilingual. She said something that really got... And, the school, francophone school district, the anglophone, you wake up in the morning. Je suis acadien, je viens de me rendre compte que je m'ai tout battu pour mes droits acadiens. But when you wake up in the morning and you hear the francophone school district, the anglophone school district, the francophone school district, the anglophone, it sort of reminds me, you wake up, you're supposed to be proud to live in New Brunswick, but they sort of like anglophone, francophone. They should use another name. Before it was 18, the school district 18, 15, or whatever.
Right.
But this, I think it's Quebecois that's pushing this francophone. Don't answer that.
Here's what I think about this. I think the vast majority of New Brunswickers are committed to a bilingual New Brunswick, and they have good relations between les deux communautés linguistiques. When we get in these discussions about how we're doing this is where it sometimes comes off the rails, because for some people, the idea that we might change that is quite threatening to them, and for other people, that's an opportunity for them to actually attack bilingualism itself.
Yeah.
So that's a very difficult conversation for people to have, and that's why I say I'm glad I don't have that job, because navigating those waters where you do have there are a group of New Brunswickers, a small group, I think, and smaller every day, who are actually opposed to having a bilingual province. And there is another group of people who are basically afraid that if we talk about this, they will lose their rights. So in that situation, it's very hard to have a conversation.
I talked to some groups, and one group, it was going good, slowly but surely. Like I said before, I said in many videos, 50 years ago, there would have been no niggers, no frogs, no wagon burners, no fruits. Everybody would have been treated equally 50 years ago. We wouldn't be this mess that we're in now. Now it's reverse discrimination. And then you said it attracts the people saying, hey, what is an Acadian? Where's Acadia? What's the Acadian flag? Is it registered by the Queen? It's a blog. I will say it. Fuck off. Turn around. Okay, we have our rights, but you have these old-fashioned people, like the blacks shouldn't have rights, the natives shouldn't have rights, and the French, and it's difficult. You
know what the sad thing for me about this is? I think younger New Brunswickers increasingly get it. Now, I go back to the past when I was a young boy growing up in Kings County. Nobody was learning French. That just wasn't a thing. But you look at the young generation of mother tongue English New Brunswickers. More young New Brunswickers now, English Anglophone New Brunswickers, are bilingual than are not. And that's the first time that's been true. So the reality is we are becoming the bilingual province that we have been seeking to become for a long time. But as we move closer to that, yeah, there's going to be that last reaction of that group of people who find that quite threatening or they're opposed to that.
I think it's the old saying, like you already watched the Ten Commandment movie, Charles Heston, and then when they say at the end there, whoever they were forced to travel for 40 years around the desert,
Right.
whoever that swear against God or sin until the last person was
Right.
dead, then they found the promised land. So maybe until the last bigot that was brought up with the frogs and, the wagon burners, the niggers, until those people are gone, they don't use that word anymore, then we'll become what we're supposed to be.
I think we're actually seeing progress. Now, I go back to years ago in New Brunswick, the divide between Protestants and Catholics was
yeah.
really vicious.
No?
Really
Oh, yeah.
vicious. And now...
I go to Baptist church. I'm a Catholic.
Right, yeah.
I go to the Brunswick Baptist church.
Right.
I love it there. Ooh, now, I could have never done that
Yeah.
30 years ago.
Right.
Oh, they would have thrown me out the door.
And now there's
They still
really-
want to sometimes.
And
but
now there's really almost nothing left of that.
No.
And you look at young New Brunswickers right now, like even New Brunswickers in my sister's kids, they are perfectly bicultural kids. They were educated in French immersion. They're interested in French music. They're interested in French literature. They watch French cartoons and French TV shows. For them, it's nothing but a benefit. It's doubled the world they can access. So they're, long after you and I are in the ground, the New Brunswick that they're building is going to be a New Brunswick that's more tolerant than the one we grew up in, and it's going to be a better, happier New Brunswick as a result. So I'm actually optimistic about the future of that, even though I agree with you, these last gasps of the old ways are painful to watch. It's painful to hear the kind of words you're saying and to see people do that because it's hurtful, it's angry, it's not kind, it's not the people we really want to be.